So this is, we're going to review Chapter 1 problems that you guys might see on your midterm. Remember, your midterm is going to be 40 questions, all multiple choice, and you can use a calculator. First period asked me, what if I do everything right? Because, guys, multiple choice can be tricky. You know, if the answer is 4, I guarantee you one of the other answers will be -4. So what if I show all my work, but I pick the wrong one? This is multiple choice. I'm running it through the Scantron machine. I'm not looking at your work, so make sure you guys are paying attention. You're very particular. All right, when we talk about equations of parallel and perpendicular lines, let's write some notes down so we remember. Parallel lines, parallel lines have what? What about their slope, do you know? Same slope. Perpendicular lines have what? It's reciprocal, and it's also what? Reciprocal means to flip. And what else? It's not just reciprocal. Negative. You're going to have opposite. One will always be positive, and one will always be negative. So if you have a reciprocal, if you have perpendicular, you're going to flip the slope, and you also have to change the sign. So in this question, they're asking you to write a line that is parallel and perpendicular. So the first thing I need to do is find out what the slope is. How do I do that?
Make it equal.
Get it into what kind of form? Y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. Negative 4y equals negative 5x plus 8, right? Divide by -4. So y equals positive 5 over 4x, what? Minus 2. Okay, guys, so we're going to write two lines now. One is going to be parallel, one is going to be perpendicular. So over here, I'm going to say parallel slope, and then I'm going to say perpendicular slope. If I have a line that is parallel to this one, what is the slope going to be? Parallel. What? It will be the same. So the slope I would use is 5 over 4. When I do the perpendicular line, what is the slope that I will use? -4 over 5. Does anybody have a question?
Wait.
All I did was get this line into y equals mx plus b. See that?
Yeah.
And then the parallel line, when I figure out what it is, I'm going to use the slope 5 over 4. And for perpendicular, I'm going to use -4 over 5. So they gave me a point and a slope. That means I have to use point-slope form. If you guys don't remember point-slope form, it's y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. The x1 and the y1 are the point that they give you.
Perpendicular, when you get the point, you have to flip the signs and change.
Correct. So I'm going to say y minus. What's the y part?
3.
What's the y part? So y minus -2 equals 5 over 4 times x minus what? 3. So minus the negative is? Plus, okay. Distribute the 5/4, so I have y plus 2 equals 5 over 4x minus 15 over 4, right? Agreed?
Yep.
Okay, so now what do I do?
Plus 2.
No.
Plus 15.
No. I want y by itself.
Oh, subtract. What?
-2.
So -2. So I have y equals 5 over 4x. I'm going to change 2 to fourths. So that would become what? 8 over 4. So what's 15, -15, and -8?
-20.
Over 4. That's it. Now you have a calculator. There is absolutely no excuse that you guys are going to tell me, I can't add and subtract fractions. No excuse.
Calculators?
Yes.
For everything?
So that would be your answer?
Yes. Uh-huh. If your answer was written in standard form, just say, I haven't looked at the midterm answer sheet yet, but if it was written in standard form, that means it would go x, y, then your constant. It would be negative 5/4 x plus y equals negative 23/4. See what I did? I just moved that 5/4 x to the front. That's what standard form is. So now if I'm going to do the perpendicular line, I'm going to use that same point that they gave me, 3, -2. So I have y minus -2, which is what? Plus 2 equals -4/5 times x minus 3. And now all it is just simple algebra, guys. You have y plus 2 equals -4/5 x plus what? 12/5?
Yeah.
-4/5 times -3. And now I'm going to minus 2 like we did a second ago. So y equals -4/5 x. If I change 2 to fifths, what does it become?
10.
-10/5. So what's 12 minus 10?
2.
So positive 2/5. If I were going to write that in standard form, what would it look like in standard form? 4/5x plus y equals 2/5. Good. The big thing to remember from that is parallel lines have same slope. Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal. All right, when you guys are talking, this is a really easy question. Really easy question. Hold on one sec. This is a yes or no. When is something considered not a function? Hold on. There's 3 things y cannot be. I think it's fine. Raised to an even power, so write that down. Y cannot be 1 raised to an even power, which would be 2, 4, 6, 8, right? It can't be under an even root, so square root, 4th root, 6th root, something like that. And it also cannot be an absolute value. Anything else is fine. So if I look at this one, the only thing that matters is y. Is this a function, yes or no?
No.
Why not? Perfect. It's no because it's raised to an even power.
You said the whole midterm is multiple choice.
Correct. What about this one, yes or no?
No.
No, because why?
Because it's an absolute value.
Good. The only letter that matters is what?
Why?
Y. X can be squared, X can be an absolute value, whatever. It's Y. Those 3 things. That's an easy question there, guys. Don't mess that one up. All right, we talk about evaluating piecewise. Yeah.
So you have videos for these?
Okay, so piecewise. Guys, they are not telling you to solve this and then look at where your answer falls. They're telling you, in like letter A, they're saying plug in what number? -2. So where does -2 fall? Is -2 less than or equal to -1, or is it greater than -1?
Less than or equal to.
Does everybody see that? Yes or no?
Yes.
So I'm going to use the top expression. I'm going to say 2x plus 1. I'm going to plug in -2. So 2 times -2 plus 1. What's 2 times -2?
-4.
-4 plus 1 is?
-3.
-3. So your answer for that would be -3. You don't now go and take -3 and plug it in somewhere. So if I look at B, I figure out where the -1 falls in my parameters. Is -1 less than or equal to -1, or is it greater than -1?
Is it negative?
It's less than or equal to, so I'm going to use the top one again. So it's 2x plus 1. So 2 times -1 plus 1. What's 2 times -1?
-2.
Plus 1 is?
-1.
There you go.
That's a tough.
Just be careful. You guys have a calculator. I don't care if you put that in your calculator. That's smart. It's smarter to do than just make a silly mistake, because I guarantee you the silly mistake that you make will be an answer choice. So if I look for C, I'm looking at 0. Where does 0 fall? Is 0 less than or equal to -1? Or is 0 bigger than 1?
Oh, is it bigger?
Oh, bigger.
It's bigger. So I'm going to use x squared plus 2. So 0 squared plus 2. What's 0 squared? 0 plus 2 is 2. Good. And then the last one, I'm going to evaluate where x or h is 2. So, guys, is 2 less than or equal to negative 1? Or is 2 greater than negative 1?
Greater than negative.
So I'm going to use the x squared plus 2. So I have 2 squared plus 2. 2 squared is?
4.
And 4 plus 2 is? Good. You guys with me?
And you plug your answer back into what you got and with the x, it should make sense, right?
No.
Like 6 is bigger than negative 1.
No.
2.
No. Don't even think about that.
No.
Where you look is at the beginning. You look where this falls in here. The answer has nothing to do with that. Good question. Okay, next one. Next set. Guys, domain of a function. There's 3 rules that you have to follow for domain. You guys have to get this in your brain. Rules. Number 1. Variable cannot be where? In denominator. Good.
Yeah.
If there's a variable in the denominator, you have to set the denominator not equal to 0. Because you have to figure out what it cannot be. Number 2, a variable under an even root. Why is that?
So we did this before.
Which is what?
If it's
You can't take the square root of what kind of a number and get a real answer?
negative.
A negative. So your square root has to be greater than or equal to. It can equal. You can take the square root of 0. That's okay. Number 3. If there's a variable underneath an even root and where? In the denominator. Good. That you would have to set greater than 0. Why is underneath an even root greater than or equal to, but underneath an even root and in the denominator just greater than?
Because if it's equal to 0, you can't have 0 in the denominator.
Correct. Good. You got to have those 3 reasons. So if I look at this first example, what rule is being broken?
It can't be in the denominator. Wait. For the first example?
For number 47.
Oh,
What's the problem?
it's not right.
There's a variable where?
In the denominator.
So you take the denominator and you say x plus 2 cannot be 0. Subtract 2 from both sides. And you tell me x can be any single number in the world except for what?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. Because what happens?
Oh, then it becomes 0.
If I plug in negative 2, negative 2 plus 2 is 0. If they have your answer written in interval notation, it'll say negative infinity all the way up to negative 2. Does it include negative 2?
No.
Correct. And then it's from negative 2 to infinity with a little union sign. What that's saying is you can use every single number in the entire world except for negative 2.
That's how it's going to be in the test.
Yeah. I think it's written in interval notation. I haven't looked. Okay, but look at 50. What's the problem with 50?
It's under an even root.
There's under an even root. Is it in a denominator? No. So all you have to do is say, okay, this has to be greater than or equal to 0, correct? So how do I get that square root to go away?
Square.
Square both sides, good. So x squared minus 16 greater than or equal to 0. Now what? Add 16, good. So x squared has to be greater than or equal to?
Why is it greater than or equal to? Why isn't the not equal to?
Because it's not just one value that would be a problem.
So x is equal to
What can x not be? You'd say x greater than or equal to
4.
plus or minus
4.
4. Good. Now, if you have a question like this, guys, do not get thrown off by this. What's a domain?
The domain?
Yeah. What x values can I use?
Oh, in negative 3.
Why is it negative infinity to positive infinity?
Because it's normal.
Does it break any of my rules?
Absolutely not.
Is there a variable in a denominator?
Yes.
No.
No, wait, no, sorry.
Is there a square root?
No.
No. Is there a square root in a denominator?
No.
No. That means you can put in any number you want.
So if it doesn't break any rules,
It's all real numbers.
negative infinity.
All right, we talk about odd or even functions. Odd or even algebraically. Does anybody remember how to, what?
Oh, if you plug in like this, the two different numbers, like you plug in 2 and -2, and you get the same answer for both, it's even.
Perfect.
If you plug in 2 and -2, and you get different, and you get the opposite answers,
Perfect.
it's odd, and if you get like different answers, then it's even.
Good for you. Look at you. So algebraically, pick any number in the world you want, 2 or bigger. Plug in that number and its opposite. So 5, -5, 4, -4, 10, -10. If you plug in and you get the exact same answer for both, algebraically you've proven that something is even. If you do that, plug in -2, +2, -5, +5, whatever, and you get exact opposite answers, meaning like -1 and +1, -8 and +8, then you've proven that your function is odd. If you plug in and you get 2 completely different numbers, it's neither. So let's look at 82. What number do you guys want to pick? 2. Okay. Remember, you have a calculator, so if you want to get fancy and use big, ridiculous numbers, that's fine. So I have 2x cubed minus x squared. So 2x cubed minus x squared, right? So I'm going to plug in +2. God bless you. So 2 times 2 cubed minus 2 squared. Agreed? So 2 cubed is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Minus
4.
gives me
12.
12. The actual value of the number doesn't matter. But if the function is even, what am I going to get when I plug in -2?
And nothing. What's it called? No, sorry.
If my function is even, what am I going to plug in? What am I going to get when I, right here as an answer? I'm going to get 12. If it's odd, what am I going to get? -12. If it's neither, I'm going to get something else, but not 12 or -12. So I'm going to plug in here. I'm going to say 2 times -2 cubed minus -2 squared. Well, what's -2 cubed?
Oh, it's -8.
-8. What is -8 times 2? -16. Minus, what is -2 squared?
4.
4. What's -16 minus 4?
-20.
-20. Compare those two numbers. Are they the same? No. Are they exact opposites?
No.
So they are neither. If you plugged in different numbers, if you plugged in 5 and -5, you don't get 12 and -20 out. But you get two answers that are completely different. So that's why it's neither. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you're going to have some functions where you got to plug in and all that good stuff. What is this question 108? What are they asking you to do?
They're asking you to add the function.
Add the two functions. And what do they want you to plug in for all of the x's that you see? 5. Everybody see that? So if I have my f function is 3 minus 2x plus, what's my h function? 3x squared plus 2. 3x squared plus 2. A couple ways you could do this. You could combine this function and get 3x squared minus 2x plus 5. Or you could just plug in 5 now. I would just plug in 5 now. I'm going to say 3 minus 2 times 5 plus 3 times 5 squared plus 2. You guys see that? So I have 3 minus 10, right? Plus 3 times 25 plus 2. What's 3 minus 10? -7. Plus, what's 3 times 25? 75. It's not really that big. 75 plus 2 is? 75 plus 2 is? 77. What's -7 plus 77? 70.
I have a quick question regarding parentheses.
Mm-hmm.
If you have like 2 times 5 like in the above like the second line,
Mm-hmm.
so like -2 plus 5. If there's like a parentheses ending it, But it's technically for the number. Would you put another parenthesis?
Like here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Guys, if they give you a number here at the end like this, then you know you're going to get a number answer. If there was just an X, what kind of an answer are you going to get?
Function.
You're going to get some sort of a function that you just combined.
Uh-huh.
So like in 16, this is not, guys, this is not a multiplication problem. What are they asking you to do? This says G of H of 6. You plug H into 6 first. Do that first. Then once you get your answer, you plug that into the G. So the H function is 3x squared plus 2. So what they want me to do first is plug in 6 right here. So I have 3 times 6 squared plus 2. What's 6 squared?
36.
So I have 3 times 36, which is... So it's 108 plus 2, which is 110. So now they want me to take 110 and plug it into what?
H.
No.
No, G.
Plug it into the G. So what is the G function?
Square root.
Square root of 110. If your answer is in a decimal form, you literally would do the square root of 110 and you get your answer. If it's in a radical, you have to break it down. If you don't have a calculator that does radicals for you, you seriously would go, okay, 110. See if it breaks down. What's 110 divided by 4? Everybody do it. What's 110 divided by 4?
It's 27.5.
Okay, that doesn't work. The next perfect square, 9. So what's 110 divided by 9?
It's 12.6.
Doesn't work. Next perfect square, 16. What's 110 divided by 16?
6.86.
Doesn't work. Next perfect square, 25. 110 divided by 25?
4.4.
No, it doesn't work. Is 110 going to break down? So just leave it. That's your answer. But when you have G of H, something is a function of something else. You work from the inside out. I told you guys that. So see how we plugged 6 in for H, got our answer, then plugged it into the G. Again, you are allowed to use calculators. Please use them. It's not cheating. 5. All right, we're almost done. All right, these next ones you guys should be so good with. We've talked about transformations every single day in here, it seems like. If I look at 100, first of all, what family are we talking about, folks? It's a parabola. What's that family called?
I almost said quadratic.
It is quadratic.
Oh, I'm right then. I was almost right.
Now let's talk about all the transformations that are happening here. I have a negative out in front mean.
Reflection.
Reflect over.
X.
Good. Then I come here, I have a negative 2 inside the parentheses. That means we move which way?
Right.
Right. How much?
2.
2. If there was something you guys listened to, it was transformations. And then I have negative 8 at the end. What does that mean?
That's down.
It goes down 8.
Yeah.
Good.
Too good.
How about 104? What's that parent function?
Absolute value.
Good. It's an absolute value. I have a plus 8 inside.
Everything's going to the left.
Means I go left 8. And then this minus 1 at the end means I go down 1.
Easy.
What if it's with the third power? What would that be?
Cubic. Third power is cubic. If it's like 1 over x, that's our rational. If it's in a square root, what do we call that one?
Square root.
Square root, good. If it's just, whoa, pretend it's a 3. 3x plus 1, what's that?
It's just north. I don't know what they call it.
Yes, you do. It makes a what?
A line.
A line, so it's linear, okay? All right, how do we find inverses? Last thing, then we're done. Let's write down our rules. Number 1, replace f of x with what letter?
Oh,
Y, good.
I was going to say that. No,
2,
Alright.
switch
Sign.
places of x and y.
Wow.
Oh, I remember this.
Yeah. 3, solve for the new y. So let's follow our steps. 128. Let's do this together. And then we're done.
Okay.
First thing I'm going to do is replace f of x with?
Y.
So y equals x minus 4 over 5. Now what do I do?
X equals
Switch x and y. X equals y minus 4 over 5. Now what? Solve for y. So what's the opposite, guy? Inverse means opposite. What's the opposite of divided by 5? So if I multiply both sides, whoops. Not sure what just happened. I get 5x equals y minus 4. Now what?
add 4.
Add 4.
It's 5x plus 4.
Add 4. So I get 5x plus 4 equals y. To write the inverse, we would say f negative 1 of x, remember?
Yeah. Oh, isn't it? I thought the negative 1 went in front of the x.
No, it's up on the thing. But this is multiple choice. You guys can pick it. But,
The whole test?
oh, seriously?
Said dog.
What?
I'm sorry, Mia. You must have not have been listening the last 27 times I said it. It's fine. It's okay. No worries. Okay, look at the original and look at your answer. Everybody likes to check. Some of us like to check everything. That's good. But look, inverse means opposite, right? So in the original, what are the two things that are happening? We're dividing by 5 and subtracting by 4, correct? So in your inverse, what's the opposite of divide by 5? Multiply, which is what we have, right?
Yeah.
And instead of minus 4, plus 4. Is that what we have?
Yeah.
We're good to go. All right, 2 more.
Didn't you technically do
I thought that was the last one.
2 more.
What?
What? Well, the last sentence.
Thanks for staying. Appreciate it. All right, so if I look at 136, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write y equals 7x plus 3 over 8. What do I do?
Switch the y. And the
Switch the x and the y. So x equals 7y plus 3 divided by 8.
Yup.
Now our goal is to get y by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is
Multiply by 8.
multiply both sides by 8.
Yup.
So 8x equals 7y plus 3. Now what?
Subtract 3.
Subtract 3.
Yup.
8x minus 3 equals 7y. Now what?
Divide by 7.
Divide everything by 7.
That's it.
Y equals. It's probably going to be written like this.
Okay.
I know this has like nothing to do with this, but like.
Can then wait. Check. Here is what we ended up with. Here's what we started with. Divided by 8. Are we now multiplying by 8 here? Yes. Subtracting 3. Adding 3. Are we now subtracting 3?
Yeah.
Multiplying by 7. Are we now dividing by 7? Good to go. 1 minute. Hold on, I got one more. All right, last one. This one kind of throws us for a loop a little bit, so this is why I wanted to make sure we did this one. Guys, what's the opposite of cubing a number?
Square rooting.
Taking the cube root. Okay, so if I switch my x and y, Francisco, you are just...
I know what I'm saying.
Got it. You are a ball of energy today there, buddy. All right, what do I do first?
Subtract 2.
Subtract 2. Guys, watch me do this problem. X minus 2 equals 5y cubed. Now what?
Cube root.
No. Divide by 5. So I have y cubed equals x minus 2 divided by 5. Now what do I do?
Cube root.
Take the cube root of the entire thing.
Okay.
So f negative 1 of x equals the cube root of x minus 2 over 5.
You made the same mistake. Don't look at
No,
me.
I did not.
Yeah, you did. You said, what was the cube root? I want to hear it. Yeah, I heard you say it the same time I did.
Okay, children. All right, so that is the review. Easy, simple review from chapter 1. If you guys look, all of the problems from chapter 1, there's like 3 or 4 from each section. So you now have all of the worked out answers. You now have a video of how to do each kind of problem, and now you have extra problems to work on. Sound good? Okay, sounds good. Thank you.